Just give me a minute, you can just fix my earphones. So can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. But why? Why am I hearing through the computer speakers instead of my own? Okay, can you say something again?
Haribol.
Okay, I can hear. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. First of all, be able to share my screen. Mādhurya Kādambinī. Mādhurya Kādambinī. Looking at the third shower. Okay. I will need to, let me take out the original text. Oh. Okay. Oh. There's not the original. That should have properly. Bigger. Okay, let me begin with this. One day, हम श्री गुरु श्री श्री गुरु वैष्णव श्री रूपम साग्रजातम सर्वनरवनाथम एकंतम सजीवम साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादाम सर्वनिर्भय श्री शाखान्वितांश्च. Okay, Mādhurya Kādambinī is a very important book. Prabhupada himself has recommended that it should be studied by devotees to understand where they are in Krishna consciousness, to what degree they progress in Krishna consciousness. So it became very popular ever since translations started to appear from the early 90s. It became very popular. The book contains about 8 chapters, and it starts with the description of the very first stage of Krishna consciousness up to the end. It will be useful to know the different stages of Krishna consciousness as taught by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It starts with Satam Kripa, Sadhu Kripa, the mercy of the Vaishnava saints. We are talking of pure devotion saints, pure bhakti. So the Vaishnava saints are the pure devotees, pure Vaishnavas. Then one serves those great souls. Then one develops Shraddha, faith and enthusiasm. Then this is referred to as Shraddha also by Rupa Goswami. And then one takes shelter at the feet of a bona fide spiritual master. This is referred to as Sadhu Sangha by Rupa Goswami. Then one develops a hankering to engage in the activities of Bhakti Yoga or Bhajana Kriya. Then one accepts the activities of devotional service. Bhakti is referred to as Bhajana Kriya by Srila Rupa Goswami. Then Anarthapagama, all of these unwanted activities, desires, attitudes, obstacles, and so on, all of these are removed, referred to as Anartha Nivritti by Srila Rupa Goswami. Then one attains Nishtha, steadiness, uninterrupted engagement in the activities of Navavida Bhakti, one or more items of Navavida Bhakti. Then he develops a taste for those activities, Ruchi. Then he becomes attached to the personality of Godhead. Then he attains a Rati or Bhava, ecstatic love of Godhead. Then he attains Prema, pure love of Godhead. Then he directly perceives the Supreme Lord with the spiritual senses. Then finally he becomes fully capable of experiencing the sweetness of Lord Hari. So, in Mādhurya Kādambinī, the great Acharya takes the reader step by step all the way to the highest stage. So now, in chapter 3 of Mādhurya Kādambinī, he is talking about Anarthapagama or Anartha Nivritti. So I'll read out the original and I'll also read out the translation in case some corrections need to be made. I'll just make it on the spot verbally. Amrita Vrishti, the third shower of nectar. Every chapter is considered a shower of nectar. Yes, there are 8 showers. Atha Anarthanam Nivritti. And then there is the cessation of the anarthas. This chapter discusses Anartha Nivritti, the cessation of unwanted desires. Unwanted, all kinds of things. Techa anarthaha chaturvidhaha. There are 4 kinds of anarthas. Dushkritotha, Sukritotha, Aparadhotha, Bhaktiuttascheti. Anarthas coming from sinful activities, sinful material activities. Anarthas coming from sinless material activities. Anarthas coming from offenses. Anarthas coming from bhakti itself. Tatra dushkrita uthaha. Dur abhinivesha dvesharaga dhyaha. Purvokta klesha eva. These, the anarthas that are coming due to sinful activities, they are evil obsessions, hatred, attachments, and so on. They've already been discussed earlier on. And klesha, they are certainly miserable. Sukritotha. Don't I have a better translation? Anyway, this is what is there. Sukritotha, bhoga abhinivesha vividhaya. Then there are another cause due to sinless material activities or pious activities. They are of different types, and one is filled with an obsession for enjoyment. The craving for temporary sensual pleasure is also a detrimental desire in the heart, and anartha stemming from sukriti or pious activities. Suffering comes from impious deeds, whereas pious deeds facilitate enjoyment of the senses. Techa kleshanta pati na iti kechat. Some say that, some Vaishnava authorities say that the anarthas due to pious activities or sinless material activities, they actually are part of the kleshas, the miseries of material existence. Then, aparadha utthā ityatra nāmāśraya eva grihyante. Aparadha utthā anarthas refer to anarthas coming due to offenses. These refer only to nāmāśrayas. Sevaparadhanam tu namabhis tattan nivartaka stotra pathai seva satatyena cha bhavyasya vivekinaha prayaha pratidinam eva upashamena ankuri bhava anupalabdhe. They do not include sevaparada, offenses committed in devotion service and in worship of the deity, in devotion service to the deity. Because they generally do not include, because conscientious and intelligent devotees remove the effects of such offenses by the holy names, by chanting, by reciting prayers which remove the effects of such offenses, by constantly engaging in devotion service. Thereby, they avoid having to experience the offense in its seed form, growing into a future reaction. So they neutralize it even when it's in the seed form by engaging in chanting of the holy names, by engaging in stotra part or recitation of various prayers to the deity in all honesty and with uninterrupted engagement in devotional service every day. So prayaha indicates that mostly they go away, mostly. Kintu tattat upashama sambhava balena tatra savadhanata shaithilya sevaparadha api nāmāśraya eva syuhu. Not therefore, but if a devotee is careless in avoiding sevaparad, on the strength of the possibility of neutralizing the effects of sevaparad by becoming lax in engaging in deity service. In other words, he loses his attention. His attention in his care and attention in deity service, it slackens. Then the seva aparadhas, they will turn out to become nama aparadhas. In fact, it is stated, Namno Balad Yasehi Papa Buddhi. It is an offense to engage in sinful activities on the strength of the chanting. Tatra Nama iti upalakshanam bhakti matrasyaiva upashamakasya. Here, in this description of the seventh offense, it should be understood that to engage in forbidden activities on the strength of chanting, here chanting is indicative. It is not exhaustive. It is not only chanting. It indicates that if you think it is all right to engage in forbidden activities on the strength of any of the items of bhakti, then that is a namaparad. That is the seventh namaparad. So if one thinks that I can engage in any item of devotional service, it could be Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Saptam, Atmanivedanam, any one of them. And by doing that, I can neutralize the effects, ill effects caused due to offenses, sinful activities, and so on. That is the seventh namaparad. Dharmashastrepi prayaschitta balena papa acharane na tasya papasya kshayaha pratyutta gadhatha eva. Even in the Dharma Shastras, it is stated that if one engages in sinful activities on the strength of possible future processes of atonement, prayaschitta, thinking that now I'll do sinful activities, but then later on I will do prayaschitta, atonement, in order to neutralize the ill effects due to sinful activities, na tasya papasya kshayaha, then the sins are not, the sinful reactions are not destroyed. Pratyuta, on the other hand, gadhatha eva, the sinful reactions become intensified, rather one has to suffer even more. So on this basic principle derived from the Dharma Shastra, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out that seva aparadha committed knowingly turns out into namaparad. So aparadhutta anarthas or anarthas caused due to offenses refer to anarthas caused due to namaparad. Nanu evam na hyangopakrame dhvamso madharmas yodhavanvapi iti visheshato dasharnoyam japamantrena siddhita ityadi vakya balena tattat anganam anusthane vaikalyadav api va jate namaparasa prasajjate. An objection. We find in the 11th canto, how do I show the one? Open it up here. There's a page, 11th canto, 29 chapter. My dear Uddhava, because I have personally established it, This process of devotional service unto me is transcendental and free from any material motivation. Certainly, a devotee never suffers even the slightest loss by adopting this process. Then there's another statement. Specifically, anyone who chants this 10 syllables mantra, merely by doing that, he attains all perfections. So there are statements in the scriptures like this. So on the basis of these statements, one may ask that if he does not carry out all the different items of bhakti, so there is some kind of imperfection and so on. Or in case there is some imperfection and so on. Would that mean that he is engaged in Nāmāśraya-bhakti? No. Namno balad yasyetyatra papabuddhish chikirshadi. Because when it says Namno balad yasyahi papabuddhi, the seventh offense, that when you have the conception that I can engage in a simple activity on the strength of chanting. So there, when you have the conception to engage in simple activity means you have the desire to engage in simple activity, the resolution, you have resolved that you will engage in simple activity and so on. Kadeva hi papam yatra sati ninda prayaschittadi shravanam. That is certainly sin when you find scriptural descriptions criticizing those activities and causing you to perform atonements and so on. Nacha karma marga iva bhakti marga epi angavaikalyado papi nindashravanam. It is not like in Karma Kanda, where if you don't execute all the different items and so on, then you are criticized. In the pathway of bhakti, that is not the case. So there is no need to worry about offenses. Yaduktam, as stated, ye vai bhagavata prokta upaya hyatma labdhaye anjah pumsam avadusham vidhi bhagavatan hitan yanasthayan narorajan na pramadhyeta kathichit dhavan ninilyavanetre naskalen na patedita. What is this verse number? 34, 35. Even ignorant living entities can very easily come to know the Supreme Lord if they adopt those means prescribed by the Lord, Supreme Lord himself. The process recommended by the Lord is to be known as Bhagavata Dharma or devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next verse. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. Notice this. Even while running with his eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. So now he begins to explain what that means. Atra nimilyeti Khartru vyaparalingena vidyamane eva netre mudriyatva tatrapi dhavan padan nyasa sthalam atikramya api vrajan naskhalediti aksharaartha labdhe bhagavad dharmam ashritya tad angani sarvani gyatvapi agya eva kanichit ullankhya api anutishtan na pratyavayasya नापि फलाद् दृश्येदित्येव व्याख्या उपपद्यते. Here, the expression dhavan nimilya. Let me close out. Nimilya, while closing his eyes, even running with eyes closed. So here, when it says that even while closing his eyes, but still, despite having closed his eyes, he is still running. He is moving one step at a time and so on. He is running, he's not just walking, he's running. Still he does not slip. That is what we understand from the words that have been used here. So, Bhagavad Dharma ashritya tatangani sarvani vyatvapi. So, having taken shelter of Bhagavad Dharma or Bhagavata Dharma, in other words, it means that despite knowing about all of the different items of Bhagavata Dharma, like an ignorant person, he discards some of them, and he continues to execute Bhagavata Dharma. He will not experience any reverse, nor will he deviate from, nor will he stray away from his goal. This explanation is proper. Nimilanam nama ajnanam tasyapi shruti smriti vishaya ityesha tu na sangachyate mukhyartha badha yoga. However, it doesn't mean being ignorant of the rules of Shruti and Smriti. Here, closing the eyes doesn't mean being ignorant of Shruti and Smriti. Because that would lead to a contradiction of the primary meaning of these expressions. Nacha dhavan nimilyeti etadeva dvatrimshad aparatha abhavam api todi karotu iti vachyam. Okay. What about interpreting this to mean even if he commits the 32 offenses? Those are all seva paradhas. Yan bhagavata proktan upayan ashritya yuktatva. And these have been, and this would not be appropriate because in the text it is already stated that Bhagavata Dharma refers to means which have been spoken by the Supreme Lord. See, okay, the basic point is, what is Bhagavata Dharma? Bhagavata Dharma has one feature. It has to be taught by Bhagavan. Another feature, it is directly in relation to Bhagavan. This is Bhagavata Dharma. So it's not enough if it is simply taught by Bhagavan. It has to be taught by Bhagavan, and that dharma also should directly pertain to Bhagavan. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atma Nivedanam. Here, Shravanam means Shravanam Vishnu, Vishnu Shravanam. Kirtanam means Vishnu Kirtanam. Smaranam means Vishnu Smaranam. Similarly, Vishnu Padasevanam. Similarly, Vishnu Archanam, Vishnu Vandanam, and so on. They are in direct relation to Lord Vishnu. Vishnu means Vishnu Tattva. And it is spoken by Bhagavan. by the Vishnu Tattva form, either the Supreme Lord in his original feature or in his Vishnu Tattva form. Then those Vedic dharmas are known as Bhagavata dharma. So, Yanairva Padukairvapi Gamanam Bhagavad Grihe Yadayastu Tatra Nishidha eva. There is a rule: one should not enter into the house of the Lord with on a vehicle or while putting on his shoes. So there are rules like that. These are all certainly forbidden within Bhagavata Dharma itself. Seva parathe tu harerap yaparathan yah kuryad dvipada pam sanaha ityadishu shruyante eva ninda. And those who would commit such offenses have been criticized. So they have been forbidden and they have been criticized. Kimchate namaparadha prachina arvachina va yadi samyak anabhikyata prakarasyu kintu tat phalalingena anumiyamana eva tada tesham namabhir eva ashranta prayuktai bhaktinishthayam utpadyamanayam kramena upashamaha yadi te gyayante eva tadatva asti kvachit kaschit vishesha. Now, apart from all this, though regarding those namaparadhas, offenses to the holy name, they could be of two types. One could be experiencing the effects of namaparada performed recently, or one could be experiencing the effects of namaparada which was engaged in before, a long time back or some time back, not immediately. And if those namaparadas of either of those two types, if you are not able to detect exactly which namaparada led to which result or which namaparada you did and so on, if it's just all fuzzy, then by looking at the symptoms of the results, one can infer that these are the effects of namaparada. For instance, if our material desires don't go down, our lust, anger, greed, and so on doesn't go down, and so on. In so many ways, one can understand that these are all the effects of namaparada. Because if there's no namaparada, when you chant Hare Krishna, immediately Chaitodarpanamarjanam, then immediately Bhavamahadavajanirvapanam. Chaitodarpanamarjanam means anarthas all go away. All the way, then Bhavamahadavajanirvapanam indicates that one automatically comes to Bhava Bhakti. He is already seeing Krishna, he's interacting with Krishna and Prema Bhakti, and all the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti would be manifest and so on. So now, because those things are not happening uninterruptedly, so we understand that I am suffering the results of namaparada, but I am not able to understand which namaparada. So then, under that circumstance, then for people like them, they need to engage in unceasing chanting of the holy name. And when they come to uninterrupted engagement in bhakti, bhajana kriya, then gradually they will become freed from the effects of those namaparadas. They will be neutralized. Yadi te gyayante eva. But if one is able to understand the causes for this having to suffer the effects of namaparada. In other words, he can understand. The person is intelligent enough, not just intelligent enough, he is able to understand. He is not cheating himself. He knows, see, I committed that offense. I committed the first offense, I committed the third offense, I committed this offense, that offense, so on. You yourself, when you introspect, if you can understand, tadatu asti kvachit kaschit vishete, then there are some special means, special arrangements under particular circumstances for having them neutralized. So he starts with the first one. Yatha, for instance, Satam Ninda iti Dashasu Namnaha Pratamaha Aparatha. The first amongst the 10 offenses pertaining to the holy name is Satam Ninda, criticism of saintly devotees. Tatra Nindetyanena Dveshadroha Adeha Api Upalakshante. Here, Ninda or criticize is indicative, and it also includes hating saintly devotees, betraying saintly devotees, being violent towards them, and so on. Tatascha Daivat Tasmin Aparathe Jate, and if somehow one accidentally commits that offense, then Panta Pamarenam Maya Sadhushu Aparadham iti Anutaptaha Janaha Krishanau Shamyati Taptah Krishanuna Evayam iti Nyayena Tat Padagre eva Nipatya Prasadayam iti Vishanna Chetasa Pranti Stuti Sammanadi Vis Tasya Upashama Karyaha. Then one should first of all repent. Alas, I am a wretched soul. I have committed offenses unto saintly Vaishnavas, unto the saints. And then just as poison is contracted by poison. This is nice. Similarly, the offender, having set aflame his spiritual life with blasphemy, must be purified in the fire of contrition or repentance. So then he should fall at the feet of that saint, and he should say, I would like to please you with a repentant heart. And he should offer obeisances, he should offer prayers, honor, and so on. And in that way, he must utilize that offense due to sadhu ninda. Kadachit kasyachana kairapi dushprasadaniyatve bahudinamapi tan manobhi rochini anuvritti karya. When for some such saints, in some circumstances, if one cannot satisfy them, cannot please such saintly Vaishnavas, then for many days, one must engage in services that please the mind of such saints. Aparadasya atimahatva kathanchit tayapi anivvatya kopatve dhing mam akshina bhakta paradham niraya kotushu patantam iti nirvidya sarvam parityajya Nāmāśraya-bhakti Nama Sankirtana Santatis Tayacha Mahashakti Matya Avashyameva Kale Tatasyadeva Uddharaha. If he commits an extremely great offense and the saintly devotee is not satisfied even by such rendering of services for several days, then one should repent. Fie upon me. I have engaged in an offense to a devotee of the Lord that cannot be neutralized. I am falling into millions of hells. thinking like this, he must stop everything in life and he must fully take shelter of uninterrupted chanting of the holy names. And that uninterrupted chanting of the holy names has great power. So over time, that will certainly deliver him. Kim me muhurmuhu eva pada patanadibhi swa apagarsha svikarena namaparasa yuktanam namanyeva harantyakam iti asyaiva parama upaya saeva samashaniya iti bhavanayam purvadeva punarapi namaparasa. But if one thinks, what is this? Again and again I go and fall at his feet and I accept that I committed a mistake and that I am inferior to him and so on. Why should I do that? Anyway, the Shastra says that for those who are infected by the effects due to Namaparan, when they continuously chant the holy names, and then all of their sinful reactions or reactions to offenses will go away by the chanting, uninterrupted chanting. So that itself is the best means. I will only do that. If one thinks like this, then like the case that was brought about earlier on, this is once again nothing but a namapara. Nacha Kripalur Akrita Droha Stitikshu Sarvadeshinam Ityadi Sampurna Dharmaka Eva Santaha Teshameva Ninda Aparatha Iti Vachyam. Where is that? Okay. Here. Not here. Now one should not say that when you talk about criticizing the saintly, one should not bring up the idea that saints are those who have all of the qualities which have been noted in the scriptures. Let me take this out. Here, 11:29. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O Uddhava, a saintly person is merciful and never injures others. Even if others are aggressive, he is tolerant and forgiving toward all living entities. His strength and meaning in life come from the truth itself. He is free from all envy and jealousy. His mind is equal in material happiness and distress. Thus, he dedicates his time to working for the welfare of all others. His intelligence is never bewildered by material desires, and he has controlled his senses. His behavior is always pleasing, never harsh, and always exemplary, and he is free from possessiveness. He never endeavors in ordinary worldly activities, and he strictly controls his eating. He therefore always remains peaceful and steady. A saintly person is thoughtful and accepts me as his only shelter. Such a person is very cautious in the execution of his duties and is never subject to superficial transformations because he is steady and noble, even in a distressing situation. He has conquered over the 6 material qualities, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, delusion, old age, and death. He is free from all desire for prestige and offers honor to others. He is expert in reviving the Krishna consciousness of others and therefore never cheats anyone. Rather, he is a well-wishing friend to all, being most merciful. Such a saintly person must be considered the most learned of men. He perfectly understands that the ordinary religious duties prescribed by me and various Vedic scriptures possess favorable qualities that purify the performer. And he knows that neglect of such duties constitutes a discrepancy in one's life, having taken complete shelter at my lotus feet. However, a saintly person ultimately renounces such ordinary religious duties and worships me alone. He is thus considered to be the best among all living entities. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, one should not say that the first offense refers only to the saints who have all of these features. Sarvachara vivadvita shakadhiyo vratya jagad vanchaka iti tat prakaranavartina vachanena tadrisha dushcharitanam api bhagavantam bhajatam kaivat ikya nyayena satshabda vachatvena suchitatva. Why is it said like that? Because in the very section in Padma Purana that deals with the various Nāmāśraya-bhakti, it is stated that even persons who are devoid of good behavior, devoid of any good behavior, and who are deceptive in mind, and who are fallen in many ways, they are cheaters to the world. When they take shelter of the holy name, then they also become fully purified. So they may have these kinds of defects at that particular point in time. Okay, but they are going away. They are going away. Those features are going away. So while Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also pointed out that one should not consider the disappearing evil qualities of a practitioner of Krishna consciousness to be intrinsic features of that person. If they are disappearing, if they are not disappearing, then they are intrinsic. We can say that they are permanent. But if they are disappearing, they are vanishing. Then one should not consider that, and that person should still be considered a saint. How will I explain that? Okay, that is stated by Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur in his Bhagavad Gita commentary. I need to take that out. And that was in the second portion, which is Viraja. But there are some terms and conditions that do apply. We should not misunderstand Vishnu Chakravarti's remark in Mādhurya Kādambinī also. That's the reason why I'm taking up this, along with Vishnu Chakravarti's own explanation, so that we have a proper understanding of who is referring to as a devotee. In general, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur points out that those who engage in maximized bhakti, they are the ones who are referred to as bhaktas. After all, in the Vedic system, all sensible people engage in Navavida Vishnu Bhakti, the 9 types of Vishnu Bhakti, the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the bhaktas. So just because you engage in the 9 types of devotional service every day does not mean that you are engaged in bhakti yoga in the language of Vishnu Chakravarti. In Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's language, when you, in your life, the engagement in Navavida Bhakti is given maximum prominence, not minimum prominence, then you are considered a bhakti yogi. I will simply request devotees to read through Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's own commentary to Bhagavad Gita. It has been translated into English, so that would be useful. Now, here I will only point out his commentary to 2 verses, but it is worth reading through in its entirety so that you understand what he means by a karma yogi, what he means by jnana yogi, what he means by ashtanga yogi, what he means by bhakti yogi. So in Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur's language, bhakti yogi is one who is giving most of his time to exclusive engagement in 1 or more items of Navavida Bhakti. That is also the same understanding is further clarified by Baladeva Vidyabhushan also. Okay. Apichet Sudracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhag Sadhureva Samantavya Samyak Vyavasito Hi Saha. Even if a person who is exclusively engaged in my service is of a very bad character, of very bad conduct, he must be considered to be a saint. He must be considered to be a saint only because his determination is proper. Bhakteshu asaktir mama swabhaviki eva bhavati. My attachment to my devotees is natural. Sa duracharepi bhakte na apayati. My attachment to my devotees doesn't go away even if he has engaged in abominable activities. Tam api utkristameva karomi tyaha apichediti. In fact, I bring him up. I make him exalted. With these thoughts, the Lord speaks Apichet Sudarachara verse. Sudarachara, Parahimsa, Paradhara, Paradravyadi Grahanat Parayani Api Mam Bhajate Chet. If a person had been absorbed in very evil activities, such as being violent towards others, grabbing someone else's wife, someone else's property, and so on. Even if he had been absorbed in such activities, if he worships me now, Kitrik Bhajanavan, and what kind of devotion service? Because everybody is engaged in devotion service, you can say, in Vedic culture to Lord Vishnu. All the ones who are upgrading themselves over the lifetimes, they are certainly engaged in Bhagavad Bhakti. So what kind of devotion service, that consideration has to be brought up. So he asks this question, Kitrik Bhajanavan, what kind of devotion service is he engaging in? Ityataha Ananya Bhakt. Oh, he is an Ananya Bhakt devotee. What does that mean? Mattaha Anya Devatantaram, Mad Bhakter Anya Karma Jnanadikam, Mad Kamanato Anyam Rajyadi Kamanam Na Bhajate Tasadu. He is a person who does not take shelter of any worshipable deity other than me. He is a person who does not engage in any activity other than bhakti. Bhakti meaning Navavida Bhakti, one or more items of Navavida Bhakti, such as the process of karma, the process of jnana, the process of yoga, or adharma, as a standard set of activities to take shelter of. He has no desire for anything other than me. He has no desire for a kingdom or anything else like that. That person is a sadhu. He is a saint. Nano etadrishe kadachare drishte sati katham sadhutvam. Now if a person like this, when we see a person like this engage in abominable activities, then how can he be considered to have saintly nature, Tatra aham antavyaha, mananiyaha. No, you must honor him as a sadhu. Sadhutvenaiva sagyeya iti yavat. Specifically he says, you must understand that he is only a sadhu. Mantavyam iti vidhivakyam manyatha pratyavayasya. This is my order. I'm telling you, this is how he must be honored. Otherwise, you will have to face the reactions for disobeying this order. Atramat agyaeva pramanamiti bhavaha. My very order itself is the evidence that he should be accepted as a saint. Nanu tvam bhajate iti etadamshena sadhuku paradharadi grahana amshena asadhuscha samantavyaha tatraha eveti. Objection. Okay. He is engaged in devotion service to you. So he is partially a saint. But then he is grabbing someone else's wife and so on. So he is partially a non-saint. Should he not be accepted like this? He is partially saintly, partially non-saintly. With this in mind, Lord Krishna uses the word eva. Sadhur eva samantavya. Eva means only. He should be accepted as a saint only. He should be accepted as a saint, and he should not be considered as partially saint, partially non-saint. Sarvena pyamshena sadhur eva mantavya. He should be accepted to be a saint fully. Kadapi tasya asadhutvam na drashtavyam iti bhava. One should not consider that he is a non-saint. Samyak vyavasitam nishcheyasya sa. Because that person, his ascertainment, his conclusion is proper. Dustyajena swapapena narakam tirjag yonir va yami. Due to the simple activity that I'm engaging in, that I haven't been able to give up, I may go to hell, or I may go to, I may attain the lower species of life. I can't become Sri Krishna Bhajananto Naiva Chiha Sami, but I will certainly not want to give up exclusive devotion service to Sri Krishna. So he has such a beautiful, resolute determination. Then, Shipram Bhavati Dharmatma, Shashvat Shantam Nigachati, Kaunteya Pratijanihi, Mame Bhakta Pranashyati. He quickly becomes a righteous soul. He attains everlasting peace. O son of Kunti, declaring boldly, my devotee never perishes. So then Shri continues. Nanu tadrishasya adharminaha katham bhajanam tvam grihnasi. How is it that objection or a question? How is it that you accept the service, devotion service rendered by such an adharmic person? Kamakrodhadit ushitantah karanena nivedikam annapanadikam katham ashnasi. How can you eat or consume the food, drink, and so on, which has been offered by one whose mind has been polluted by lust, anger, and other anartha? Then, with this in mind, anticipating that Arjuna might think all these things, he says, quickly he becomes a righteous soul. Atra kshipram bhavi sa dharmatma shashvat shantam gamishyati iti aprayujya bhavati gachati iti vartamana prayoga adharma karana anantarameva maam anusmritya krutanutapa kshiprameva dharmatma bhavati. Here, in this verse, Lord Krishna has said he quickly becomes righteous, and he uses the present tense for that. He becomes righteous, he attains everlasting peace. Present tense again. He does not say he will quickly become a righteous soul. Future tense. He does not say he will attain everlasting peace. Future tense. So from this we understand that as soon as he engages in an adharmic activity, immediately he remembers me and he becomes repentant. And he immediately, instantly, quickly becomes a righteous soul. Hanta, alas, mat tulya kopi bhaktalokam kalankayan adhamaha nasti. There is no one as fallen as me who has polluted the community of the Lord's devotees. Tadhing mam, why upon me? Iti shashvat. Punah punarapi shantim nirvedam utram gacchati. So by such repeatedly, by such repeated self-criticism, he attains peace. Peace meaning detachment and renunciation. Fully attains. Fully attains, it means he doesn't go back to simple previous activities and so on. Yadva akhyata samayadanantaram tasya bhavi dharmatmatvam tadanimapi sukta rupena vartate. evam tan manasi bhakti pravesha. Another explanation he gives. After how long does he become a dharmic soul, a righteous soul? In response to that is pointed out, no, because pure devotional service has already entered into his mind. It is already present in a subtle form. So even at that time, he is a righteous soul in a subtle manner. Yatha pite mahaushadhi sati tadanim kiyat kala paryantam nashyadavastha jwaradaha vishadaha vartamanopi na ganyate vidvanihi. So there's a hint here that just as when you consume a great medicine, then for some time the heat of fever, which is now diminishing, it is diminishing, or the effect of toxicity that might be in his mind, in his body, that is not taken seriously by a qualified doctor. So in other words, if I'm sick, let us say I got fever, and I approach a qualified doctor, he gives me a powerful medicine. Now, when I take that medicine, it is not that immediately my fever goes away, but it diminishes. So now when it is diminishing, then the doctor, in fact, does not start worrying about the fact that it is all not vanished in 1 second. He doesn't take it, he doesn't bother about it. He, in fact, is happy that it is decreasing. Tatascha tasya bhaktasya duracharatva gamaka kama krodhadya utkhata damshtra uraga damshavat akinchit kara eva gyaya iti anudhvani. That's a further hint here that the symptoms of his evil conduct, lust, anger, and so on, the causes of his evil conduct, lust, anger, and so on, they are not to be taken seriously. They are insignificant. One should understand this, that they are insignificant, like the bite of a serpent whose fangs have been removed. Ataeva, therefore, shashvat sarvadaiva shantim kama krodhat upashamam nitaram gacchati atishayena prapnoti. Therefore, at all points in time, he permanently attains peace, which means he attains full freedom from lust, anger, and so on. Absolutely, he becomes free from lust, anger, and so on. Duracharatvat dashayam api sa shuddhanta saraneva uchyate bhava. The implication is, even when he was found to exhibit evil conduct, his mind was pure. It is just that unintentionally this evil conduct is being exhibited. Okay, further objection. If he is a righteous soul, then there is no dispute about this person. Kintu kaschit durachara bhaktam marana paryantam api duracharatvam na jahati. Satyaka varta iti ataha bhaktavatsalah bhagavan saprauhi sakopam ivaha kaunte. Something is wrong with this. There is something wrong. Just give me a minute. 1 minute. Just close it up. Version. Not even wait. This is what studying. Give me a few minutes to deal with it. Oh. Nine. Time. जन्म पर्यन्तमपि दुराचारत्वं न जहाति. Suspected that. They replace birth with death. Changes the meaning upside down. किंतु कश्चित् दुराचार भक्तः जन्मपर्यन्तमपि दुराचारत्वं न जहाति तस्य का वार्ता इत्यतो भक्तवत्सलो भगवान् सप्रौढि सकोपमिवाह कौन्तेयेति. If a person is of evil conduct from his birth, and that is his nature, he doesn't give up that nature. What to speak of that person? Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very affectionate to his devotees. Proudly and with great anger, he says, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, you declare that my devotee doesn't perish. Even when his life is destroyed, he does not fall down. Okay. Then the further discussion is all about why he is referring to Kaunteya. Why doesn't he make his own promise? Now that is because he says, nobody will take me seriously, but they will take you seriously because you are Arjuna, you always adhere to dharma. Okay, so there are other things to be noted here with respect to a person who is considered to be saintly. So that should also be noted. Also, in his 7th canto commentary, he says that devotees who are Durachara bhaktas, who are engaged in simple, whose conduct is simple, they should be Vandya, Sevya, Darshaniyascha. One can offer them prayers, Sevya, one can offer them services, but Sangartha Upadeya, one should not serve them. Bhagavatam is not here. I'm so many books and I don't have our own Bhagavatam. Anyway, Krishna Chakravarti mentions that in the 7th canto commentary. Yeah. Sadhava Sadacharaya-bhakti, Tesham Sangena. One should associate with sadhus who are of good behavior, sadhu devotees who are of good behavior. Tesham Sangena iti. From this it is implied. Durachara bhaktya, bhakta, devotees who are of evil conduct, sevya, vandya, darshaniyascha. One should serve them, one can serve them, one can pray to them, one can meet them also. Natu sangartham upadeya, but they are not fit for association. So that is also there. We'll also keep that in mind. Okay, any questions? I'll have to, how do I remember where I stopped in Mādhurya Kādambinī?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this Giri Gopal Das.
Yes,
Just want to ask, verify, is it Seva Aparada will lead to Nama Aparada?
If one intentionally engages in Seva Aparada, thinking that by chanting he can neutralize his Seva Aparada, then that Seva Aparada will turn into Nama Aparada. That is the point.
Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Praladananda Prabhu. I cannot hear you at all if you are saying something. Praladananda Prabhu cannot hear you in case you're speaking. Leela Mādhurya Kādambinī Mataji.
Technical difficulty. Maybe that.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, while explaining about the first Nāmāśraya, you were telling that in case if we have offended a saint, we should pay obeisance and pray. But the sentence was not clear to me whether we should pay obeisance to that saint to whom we have offended
Of course.
and pray to them.
Of course. We are talking about that particular person, that great saintly devotee who has been offended. One should offer obeisances to such a saintly devotee and seek forgiveness from him.
So seeking forgiveness is our prayer at that time. Correct, Prabhu?
That is the first thing, and also we should pray to him or her that different things. Please help me serve and progress in Krishna's service. So many things. We need to rectify our attitude. That is what Vishnu Thakur was saying.
Okay. One more thing. This 9.30 Bhagavad Gita verse, when I referred what Prabhupada has given the definition for sadhu, most of the lectures I got this verse only. And when I spoke the same thing in one session, I got a comment that this cannot be a definition for sadhu because this particular devotee is falling down. So I'm not still clear about this word falling.
No. That is not the point. The point is if one is, it's a particular type of sadhu that Krishna is talking about. He's not talking about all kinds of Vaishnavas. I'm talking about a particular type of Vaishnava. He's talking of Vaishnava who has certain features. Apiche Sudracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak. So he has to be an Ananya Bhak Vaishnava. Okay, that is one feature. Apiche Sudracharo Bhajate Mam Ananya Bhak Sadhu Reva Samantavya Samnak Vyavasito Hisa. And he is a Samyak Vyavasita. And his determination is proper. So if he is Ananya Bhak and Samyak Vyavasita, and he is engaged in devotion service to Krishna, then that certainly means he should be honored as a sadhu.
Okay.
And Krishna is simply saying, pointing out that even if he exhibits certain symptoms of evil conduct that are in their disappearing phase, they are fading out, still he should be honored as a sadhu.
Yes, Prabhu. That means that person should repent for his mistake.
He himself says, no, he naturally has to be repentant. The very fact that we are talking about what he should do indicates he is definitely not Samyak Vyavasita. Because if he was Samyak Vyavasita, he will naturally be repenting. So only a person who is of that nature, who commits something wrong and immediately repents. When I haven't developed that nature yet, that has not become my nature, then I'm certainly not inside that bracket. That's why I'm saying Vishwanath Chakravarti's definition of who a bhakta is very, very high. Very high. In fact, generally, when I am asked to teach Bhagavad Gita within Bhakti Shastri, I prefer to take Baladev Vidyabhushan's explanation and Bhaktivinod's explanation that supplements Baladev Vidyabhushan's explanation. Because Baladev Vidyabhushan considers even a person in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, third chapter of Bhagavad Gita to be a devotee of Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti doesn't consider these people as devotees at all. What it means is, if you are not primarily engaged in Krishna consciousness, as Baladev Vidyabhushan explains, most of your time is not exclusively going for direct engagement in Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, and so on. Then, by Vishwanath Chakravarti's terminology, that person is not, he is not referred to as a bhakta in the first place. So it's very frightening. Therefore, I prefer to take up Sarartha Varshini, Vishwanath Chakravarti's Bhagavad Gita commentary, for those who have come to Bhakti Vaibhava or Bhakti Vedanta levels. Because from Srimad Bhagavatam, he is looking at Bhagavad Gita. So that is a more advanced perspective on Bhagavad Gita, a deeper analysis of Bhagavad Gita. So for those whose Vairagya, Vidya and Bhakti has progressed further, they will be capable of dealing with it. Vishwanath Chakravarti's explanation is that. Praladananda Prabhu.
Can you hear me now?
Wait. Now you're too loud. Okay. Yes.
Thank you, bro. Just the topic you're talking, I have a few questions. I'll just start with as what you're discussing right now. So yes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur looks at devotees in a certain bracket, Baladev Vidyabhushan in a different context. But when it comes to sadhu ninda, it doesn't mean that one is allowed to do ninda.
No, in any
people
case, even the Durachara Bhakta we see, even the devotee whose conduct is evil in the 7th canto, even for that person, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says one should not associate with him. But at the same time, he says, one should be respectful. One should be very respectful. Sevya, Vandya, Darshaniyastu.
Yeah.
Is also there. Okay. He's fit for praise, he's fit for service, and so on. That should also be taken into consideration.
Yeah. And so following on, so what constitutes a sadhu ninda? Because when we are reading Mādhurya Kādambinī, there's few examples referred. But is there any elaborate list?
There is a book called Vaishnava Ninda. There's an essay by Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a whole essay on Vaishnava Ninda.
Okay.
I have translated it actually. I've even given word
talks on that.
Yeah, whole essay.
Could you forward that to me or to the group if anybody's interested?
Wait. I'll just sure. I have included a number of references from Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita that Bhaktivinoda Thakur deals with.
So do you have it in Amazon or something where we can purchase it?
You can purchase it. You can purchase a printed copy from Amazon. You can download the PDF. My policy is these kind of things. I just give it off free, digital. But I must say that it is a book which needs to be read through. It is a serious book. Small book, okay. Not very big, but these are the kind of things which print version would be good also. Where can you get it? You should be able to get the digital version from our website.
Okay.
You can download it off from here. Just remember ruparaghunathawani.com.
Let me write it down.
I'll put it in the Telegram group maybe.
Thank you. .com.
Nāmāśraya-bhakti. Okay.
Thank you. So my next question is related to
So what Bhaktivinoda Thakur does in that essay is he points out the different types of offenses. And then he elaborately talks about who is the Vaishnava that is being dealt with here. Because that turns out to be a very complex matter also.
Yeah.
Who is the Vaishnava that we are talking about?
Okay.
Since there are such warnings about Vaishnava, it's absolutely essential to first of all identify Vaishnavas and establish which activities lead to Vaishnava. And then he goes into a whole analysis. I've given the transliteration, I've given the word meanings of each word, and I've given a translation, I've given footnotes, I've given additional. I think that it will be very useful. I've given additional quotes from Prabhupada and the Acharyas and so on. This is the sort of thing which needs to be thoroughly understood, because Bhaktivinoda, why would he analyze so much? Because it looks like during his time, a lot of nonsense was going on by those who claimed to be devotees. And they would simply blackmail the innocent devotees by saying, but I'm a Vaishnava. I'm a Vaishnava. How can you criticize me? I'm a devotee. They would do all kinds of things. They would even say, I'm a guru, I'm your guru. I give you the mantra. All kinds of things. So Bhaktivinoda had to deal with that big mess.
My question is, the next question is kind of touched on that, and hopefully the book, if I read, will explain to me. But I'll just ask anyway. The time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is slightly different from the time we live. We live in an international society covering.
We have international versions of what Bhaktivinoda
Thakur has said. So you have people. It's anyway. Just saying it out loud. There are the demoniac outlooks and all, and
Yeah, we are a big mess. So I think that gives us more reason to study what Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote.
Yeah.
And very respectfully and sweet to see how Bhaktivinoda himself dealt with all kinds of Vaishnavas. Very respectfully. They were all, the entire spectrum, they were very pure Vaishnavas. They were very impure Vaishnavas. And they were all grayscale in between. But he was very, very respectful. He taught us by his behavior that we should. There's a way of dealing with it. You can criticize their attitudes and activities, their misconceptions. All that is fine, but not the actual person. In fact, in Vaishnava Ninda, he says, if it is required for the welfare of oneself or the audience or the world, you can, in fact, identify them by name, by person. But it should be factually for one's good. The reason why he's saying that is because anger can also become a habit. And when anger becomes a habit, that is a double-edged sword. That is very dangerous. From Bhagavatam first canto, we understand that if we inappropriately engage in criticizing others, then the inappropriate qualities of the object of one's criticism will come to oneself. So I will develop the inappropriate qualities of the one whom I criticize if I'm doing it in the wrong way, or at the wrong time, or to the wrong person, or in the wrong manner. There's so many things there.
And it's all covered in the book.
You can look through it, Captain.
Okay.
He talks about it in great detail. I have not come across anyone after Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur who has analyzed these topics in great detail.
You mean Bhaktivinoda Thakur?
Other than Bhaktivinoda
Thakur, okay.
Of course, his followers.
Okay. My last question during the series, you mentioned in the initial beginning of the class, you mentioned people who don't know the cause of Nāmāśraya-bhakti, one has to unceasingly chant the holy name as a remedy. Unceasingly chant.
Unceasingly chant means you stop everything in life and you sit and chant.
Does it unceasing also includes other Navavidha bhaktis like deity worship or reading Bhagavatam?
No. Unceasingly chant means, see, that is what you're talking of is unceasing engagement in Navavidha bhakti. But within Navavidha bhakti itself, the earlier Bhakti Angas are more powerful than the later Bhakti Angas. Shravanam Kirtanam is most powerful. Next is Smaranam. And in that way it goes. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, then Pada Sevanam, then Archanam, then Vandanam. That is why each later one requires the earlier one. Each later one requires the earlier one. But the earlier ones are independent. So Shravanam Kirtanam can stand on its own. So within Shravanam Kirtanam, there is Nāmāśraya Kirtana, Rupa Shravana Kirtana, Guna Shravana Kirtana, Leela Shravana Kirtana. So Nāmāśraya Kirtana is most powerful. If you do that one thing, you get the effect of Navadha Bhakti. So therefore, that is why there is one Subuddhi Rai. If you remember Chaitanya Charitamrita,
yeah.
Varanasi, and I think some Muslim touched him or threw some water or something like that. And then he was considered some kind of a half Muslim or something. And he went and asked many Dharmakanda authorities, now what should I do to do good to myself? And they said that different people give different suggestions. And Lord Chaitanya told them, just go to Vrindavan, chant constantly. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has explained what is this chant constantly. He says, except for engaging in minimal activities required to keep the body and soul together, one is simply chanting Hare Krishna while avoiding the offenses. Chaitanya Shikshamrita. This was the book to be studied. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was propounding a very intense form of Bhakti Yoga. That is what is called Nāmāśraya-bhakti. You start with 1 round, then 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, then increase in multiples of 4 up to 64. Then we are supposed to increase in multiples of 64 up to 192, and then chant constantly. And when we chant constantly, then we reach the point of Nishtha. He says this is the standard pathway, and it is always led to success. Possible. It's not a method he invented. It was there from Haridas Thakur's time. There is a mention of this in Dhyanachandra Goswami's writings. Dhyanachandra Goswami was Gopal Guru Goswami's own disciple. That means immediately after Lord Chaitanya, 1 generation after. So it's an ancient pathway. Anyways, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that one cannot try to cheat his way around by trying to engage in constant chanting when in fact he has actually committed some offense. And he does know. He did it knowingly. And he is aware of the problem, but he's just trying to buckle his way around. He's just trying to go around it. Dishonesty does not have a place in progressive Krishna consciousness. At least we cannot be dishonest before God, before Krishna. Krishna will help. Krishna loves us more than we can even love ourselves. Krishna knows how to solve our most embarrassing problems in a non-embarrassing way.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Where shall we get commentary on Bhagavad Gita by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur? I think some translations exist. In general, we require good translations in ISKCON. Sometimes devotees have developed various misconceptions because of mistranslations. We need proper translation. That is a reality. All right. Leela Mādhurya Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu. Last question. Prabhu, when should one start reading or studying the previous Acharya's book? Because
Well, after reading Prabhupada's books, one should be capable of handling it, provided you come across proper translations also. That's another thing.
How do we know, Prabhu, that which is the proper translation?
That will take a few decades for ISKCON to solve. In the meanwhile, at least the Bengali books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur have been properly translated. Generally, in general.
In Bengali to Bengali?
But no, Bengali to English. I'm talking about Bengali to English. Bengali to Hindi and so on is generally quite good also. And from Sanskrit to Bengali also is quite good. It is only when we come to Sanskrit to a language like English, then you need to think a lot. You need to think a lot. And one problem that I have with our ISKCON's way of doing things is in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's method of presentation, he presents the actual text of the acharyas in the original language. Even if it is Sanskrit, for instance, the Sanskrit is kept as Sanskrit. It may be written in Bengali script, but Sanskrit is kept as Sanskrit. In addition to it, you may have a translation. In India, this is how books are generally published. When you look for Bhagavad Gita, generally in India, you'll find Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit with some translation, but the original Sanskrit is there. The whole idea is a learned person should be able to verify whether the translation is correct or not. But if you only present a translation, it looks like a Western concept where they print the Bible, the Holy Bible, in English. The Bible was not written in English, it was written in Aramaic and old, in different language. Some content is in Aramaic, some other content is in some other language. So, when you give me some book and fully in English and you say this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I find it a little difficult to handle it, because I will immediately say, why did you put the original text of Vishwanath Chakravarti? And how will a person, because as time goes in ISKCON, more and more devotees will naturally learn Bengali and Sanskrit. That is natural, that is expected. So over the decades, more and more devotees will know Sanskrit and Bengali, and it will become a great embarrassment when they come across a poor translation. And especially when some devotees are trying to very seriously progress in Krishna consciousness, and they read this translation and this word and that word, and they talk so much, think so much, and discuss among themselves. And it may be just wrong. It may be wrong. And then the person who's reading it becomes a guru, and then the disciples think Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Gurya Aikya, and the guru's understanding is wrong, the disciples' understanding is wrong. It's a big mess. So, how to solve these kinds of problems? Maybe this is why Prabhupada said, just stick to my books and it solves the whole problem. Because you gather the essence correctly. But in general, from Bengali to English, worth it. Bengali is not a difficult language to learn. I learned Bengali only because of Bhaktivinoda's writing. Bengali takes about 1.5 to 2 years to learn. If you're anyway going to live in Mayapur, if you learn Bengali, then it will help you. At least the local people won't be able to cheat you when they're trying to sell some product. It's of practical value. Plus, you understand when you sing the songs of Bhaktivinoda, you understand what it means. It's easier to memorize and so on. Sanskrit to a Sanskrit-based language, the translation is not so. There's a lesser possibility of error because Bengali is a Sanskrit-based language. Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also said that they will learn Bengali to reach Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it has its own value. There are Bengali translations of the commentaries of Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vishwanath Chakravarti. In fact, his entire Bhagavatam commentary has been translated into Bengali.
when I was doing Bhakti Shastri, Padmanayana Prabhu said that there is Bengali classes. I mean, this course to teach Bengali in Mayapur Institute, but I haven't come across any of those courses after that. Even I'm interested in learning Bengali just to understand better the Shastra, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita. So if there is any courses,
We'll try to organize
please.
it. We definitely want to organize it. We are first thinking of Sanskrit, but I think that we should look at Bengali also. Probably, I personally promote English first because Prabhupada wrote in English, Bengali next, and Sanskrit last. But anyway, we'll push it through.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpa Durga, Passing the Jeva, Chapatanam, Pavane, Vishnu,